G'day, Starlo here. Tell me, have you heard of something called BFS fishing? It stands for Bait Finesse System, and it refers to a whole genre of finesse fishing that involves casting ultra lightweights off baitcaster reels. Fair income. Now, traditionally, we've regarded anything lighter than about 6 or 7 grams as fairly problematic to use with a baitcaster. When we need to cast something lighter than that, traditionally we go to sophisticated lightweight spin gear. That's what I've always done. But there's a whole group of anglers out there who've embraced BFS, and they're chucking stuff down to a gram and even less apparently. It took off in Japan, it's taken America by storm, and it has quite a few fans here in Australia as well. And I get messages all the time saying, when are you going to do something on BFS gear? To be honest, I've been a little bit cynical about it. Why reinvent the wheel? Ultra light, sophisticated spin gear is so good at casting light weights. Why would you make life difficult for yourself by trying to do it with a baitcaster? So I thought I'd better bite the bullet and give it a go. I got Shimano to send me some. They've sent me the SLX BFS baitcaster reel, which has got a super shallow free running spool, very lightweight spool, and it's all tricked up for lightweight casting. They sent me a light T-curve baitcaster rod. I don't really know if this would qualify as a BFS rod though, because its minimum casting weight rating is 7 grams, which is well above what the BFS nuts reckon they're casting with this sort of gear. I got hold of the lightest braid that I could find, which was some 6-pound Kairiki Plus, which is ultra skinny. I managed to just squeeze 150 metres of that onto the shallow spool. I've rigged it up with a little tiny Ray Broughton Bimmy minnow, which weighs about 3.5 grams, I think, at the most. So that's certainly lighter than anything I would normally try and throw on a baitcaster. Look, I love my baitcaster fishing. I love catching fish on baitcasters. There's just something about the control that they offer, but I've always used them on heavier lures. I'll be keen to see how this goes, and I'll give you my honest opinion of it. I'm expecting to be a little bit underwhelmed, but we'll see if we can take the BS out of BFS. I've headed to a small coastal lake not far from home for this trial. The lake's closed to the sea at the moment, and recent rain has its level right up into the tussocks and timber, so I'm hoping a few flatties and brim might be sniffing around the edges. Ooh, I do like that drag clicker. Smooth too. Okay, first cast, and it'll have to be a backhander because of the trees overhead. Not the most auspicious start. A backlash straight away. At least it's not too bad. It'll easily pull out. There we go. And then it's really important to tension the line between my fingers as I crank in the slack. Lovely smooth reel. Okay, let's see if I can do a bit better this time. That's more like it. Reasonable distance too. There's nothing quite like the feel and control of working a hard-bodied lure off a baitcaster. Notice that I'm building lots of pauses into the retrieve too. A couple of loose loops on that one as well. More of an overrun than a backlash. But it's really important to get all those loose loops out and to tension the line again as I recover it. I'm using the reel exactly as it came straight out of the box, but I reckon I might need to tweak the magnetic cast control a bit. I must say I'm not wrapped in the brake control on this SLX. It's hard to read the numbers and even harder to turn the dial. I think I moved it. That does seem better. Nice. I reckon I'm casting that little lure at least 70% as far as I would off spin gear. Plenty far enough to catch a fish anyway, but they're just not playing, so I'll keep moving. I want to hear that drag buzz. This snag pile looks prime. Surely there'll be a big blue-nosed brim along its outer edge. I'll wade quietly in and make a few probing casts. At least I can cast overhead here, and I seem to be getting less backlashes. But I do think I need a lighter rod. Look, I don't claim to be any sort of casting champion, but I get by, and I've been throwing baitcasters on and off for 50 odd years. I usually do okay with them, but I don't try and cast anything much under 6 or 7 grams using a baitcaster. I think that's the difference. Ooh, that was a nice one. But I'm still getting the odd bird's nest too. It's annoying. And I'm not catching anything. I've just about had enough of this, I reckon. Last time I was at this spot, and admittedly the conditions were a little bit different, but I did pretty well. I caught some brim and some flathead. And of course I was using spin gear, and I think covering the water a bit better. Well, I've given it a few hours now. I haven't caught a fish. I don't even think I've had a hit. I might have got something on spin gear. I reckon I'd have been able to cover the water more effectively. And after my initial encounter with BFS gear, I'm still left asking the same question I asked when I first found out about the method. Why? Why make something harder than it needs to be? Look, I can see that it's got certain charms. When you uncork a nice cast, it does feel really good, and the accuracy's good, but oh boy. I just think stick with spin gear. I can already imagine all the hate mail I'm going to get. And I'm not going to give up. I will give it another go, but yeah, I'm not really convinced. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And until next time, this is Starlo, wishing you tight lines.